The fact is, we had 4 dead Americans. Was it because of a protest, or was it because of guys out for a walk one night who decided they'd go kill some Americans? What difference at this point does it make?
The committee's labors to uncover what happened prior, during, and after the attack matter. It matters to me personally, and it matters to my colleagues, at the Department of State.
Well, I think we're getting something of an answer to what Hillary had said in that quote. She added at the end, it's our job to figure out what happened as opposed to what difference. Well, now, from all the testimony that we've heard today, it looks as if the job of the State Department, high officials in the State Department, was to control or to suppress what had happened. And that is extremely important.
Would a highly decorated career diplomat have told you or Washington had there been a demonstration outside his facility that day?
Yes, sir, he would have.
Did he mention one word about a protest or a demonstration?
No, sir, he did not.
So fast forward, Mr. Hicks, to the Sunday talk shows and Ambassador Susan Rice. She blamed this attack on a video. In fact, she did it 5 different times. What was your reaction to that?
I was stunned. My jaw dropped, and I was embarrassed.
What remains the case is that the intelligence community, CIA, drafted these talking points and redrafted these talking points. The fact that there are inputs is always the case in a process like this. But the only edits made by anyone here at the White House were stylistic and non-substantive. They corrected the description of the building or the facility in Benghazi from consulate to diplomatic facility and the like.
I want to say, Charles, it seems like that it had a different feel today than the previous hearing. Your sense overall of how Republicans did in their questioning, how Democrats reacted, the overall atmospherics.
The Republicans knew their stuff, and they acted in a way where they were able to follow one upon the other. The Democrats were, frankly, embarrassing. All they were doing is hurling political charges. Here were State Department officials, career officials who don't have any axe to grind, who don't have any political motive here, giving facts, and the Democrats essentially ignored them and said it's an attack on Hillary. Well, this didn't start today with Hillary as the lead candidate in the next election. It started in September, October, and November, but there was still an election. Obama was the president. Hillary's election in the future was never an issue. So to pretend that this is all about Hillary and her presidential campaign, as Democrats were doing, is preposterous.
What we have seen over the past 2 weeks is a full-scale media campaign that is not designed to investigate what happened in a responsible and bipartisan way, but rather a launch of unfounded accusations to smear public officials. Let me be clear. I am not questioning the motives of our witnesses. I am questioning the motives of those who want to use their statements for political purposes.
Speaker Boehner is now engaged. He put out a statement today about talking points specifically, saying this, cynically claiming that the White House bears no responsibility for the talking points because a CIA officer physically made the changes is the kind of evasion that won't fly with the American people. The question isn't who was sitting at the keyboard, it's who decided not to tell the American people the truth. The White House should make these emails public and explain to the American people their motives for stripping the talking points of critical information.
It's the opposite of truth. The story the administration has said is, we initially thought it was a video. As new information came in, we revised it. It's the exact opposite. They initially thought, as we saw in the State Department memo, as the CIA had in the talking points, as Hicks himself had reported, initially it was a terror attack. And then what they engage in is a subtraction of the truth, a redaction, a crossing out of all the stuff about al-Qaeda, which gave an untruth. It was the exact opposite of it.
Determined that we needed to send a second team from Tripoli to secure the airport for the withdrawal of our personnel from Benghazi after the mortar attack.
But were any of these U.S. military personnel not permitted to travel on a rescue mission or relief mission to Benghazi?
They were not authorized to travel.
How did the personnel react to being told to stand down?
They were furious. I can only say, well, I will quote Lieutenant Colonel Gibson. He said, "This is the first time in my career that a diplomat has more balls than somebody in the military."
Special Forces teams in Libya after the carjacking in August 2012. Do you, I think Jody's referring to the British ambassador under attack in Benghazi. In other words, all of the things that happened prior to that moment.
Look, that's one part of the story. It's clear. The ambassador himself, who was slain, is the one who was really begging for more security. Everybody understands it was rated as a facility that was extremely insecure. That's one element. The other element is, at the time of the attack, what happened? And I would ask another question. Where was the commander-in-chief when all this? The one man who can authorize and order troops to move above everybody and instantly is commander-in-chief. Where was he for these hours when the fight was raging? Has anybody asked it? Has anybody answered that?
Not over.
Intimidation is the equivalent of a cover-up. If you're going to intimidate somebody as a way to shut that person up, you've got a cover-up on your hands.
This has been a Sunfish production.